Hi gorgeous reading besties, I hope that you're having the most wonderful day of your entire stinking life. Today we are starting a weekend reading vlog and I am planning on focusing on horror books this weekend. So let's talk about my reading plans. I am currently in the middle of Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. I'm about 40% of the way through and I'm reading that one on my Kindle. I have 3 Kindle Unlimited books that I'm very excited to get to. They're all like shorter story horror books. The first one is The Exorcist's House by Nick Roberts. The second is called The Watchers by A.M. Shine, and the third is called The Bayou by Arden Powell. So those are some of my options for other books outside of Just Like Home. Once I decide what I'm going to pick up, I'll give you some synopsis for those. And then the last one that I really want to finish this weekend is the audiobook for Cackle by Rachel Harrison. Now, Cackle is not a horror, it's much more of an atmospheric autumnal romance book. I have just started listening to this book today and I am only 5% of the way through. The vibes are correct, so we're gonna throw it in here, and I've been really looking forward to listening to it, and the audiobook became available on Libby, so we're throwing it in here as well. That being said, I am planning to go to Starbucks really quickly. I want to get a coffee and then I need to go food shopping. So I'm going to be listening to Cackle while I'm kind of running those errands.
Have you finished those errands?
And then when I get back, we are going to dive back into Just Like Home. I finished my errands and I was listening to my audiobook the entire time, so I am 31% through Cackle and I just wanted to give a couple updates. It's really reminding me of the same mood and like tone of Payback's a Witch. The witch person that we've met is really sweet. I really like the witch character so far. I forget her name, that's just why I'm calling her the witch character, but she's very like warm and gentle and welcoming. The main character has officially entered this kind of Stars Hollow-y type town, and I can see why Darling Desi, when she spoke about this book in her autumnal book recommendations video, I can see why she described it like that. It's maybe a little bit more mysterious than Stars Hollow, but there's a diner that they just went to for breakfast who makes amazing pancakes, and then our witch character's home is in the middle of the woods and it's like a mansion, and there's very mysterious things that are happening in the home. There are a couple elements of like spookiness. It's really not scary by any means. It's just spooky, comfy, cozy, Halloween, autumnal vibes. It's also very contemporary. Our main character is quite relatable. I also very mildly started decorating for fall and Halloween, but I'm very quickly realizing I don't have as many Halloween decorations as I thought I did. So we may have to remedy that later on. We'll see. But typically I like to decorate my home with much more of like a harvest type decor and not so much a Halloween decor vibe. But I showed you guys the little sign that Ross actually got for us last October, like September, October, and it's so cute, the little ghosty sign. So that's my one true like Halloween decor piece. Good morning, friends. It is the next day. I have a couple reading updates to share with you. I have just been like jumping around with my reading lately, and I'm not fighting it because I'm really enjoying it. So apologies if my updates are kind of jumping around to different books in this. I listened to a little bit more of Cackle by Rachel Harrison. So I am now 46% of the way through that book and I'm really loving it. I am just here for the vibes. I really love, I need to clarify because I think in my last update I couldn't tell you like the names of the main characters. So our main character's name is Anne or Annie, and our witchy friend, our witchy Stars Hollow friend, her name is Sophie. She just kind of revealed herself to Annie and she was like very vulnerable and really scared, and she was like, it's been so long since I've had a friend and I don't want to scare you away and lose you, but you need to know like I'm kind of a witch. And they're diving into a little bit more of the magic that's in this book and it is just incredible. They are so stunning. She's such a charming character and this town is so charming. If you're someone who likes aesthetic books that will really get you in the mood of the season, I highly, highly recommend this book. I've started reading The Watchers by A.M. Shine, which is a Kindle Unlimited horror. So I got a little bit over 20% of the way through that book last night, and let me tell you, I set up a whole mood for myself. I wanted to be scared. So on the couch, I put on an ASMR room on YouTube that was a haunted graveyard and it was so creepy. It was very like woodsy and misty and there were kind of rain sounds that would come in and out, but there was like werewolves howling and wind and it was just very creepy-deeps, okay? It matched the aesthetic of The Watchers perfectly. So The Watchers is about, I guess you could say, this cursed forest, desolate. There's no living creatures around. Like even animals decide not to live in this woods because it is not safe. This book jumps around to multiple POVs, so we have a couple different main characters and they can't leave, they can't escape. No one has ever escaped the woods before. Hi friends, it's Editing Tori here. I realized that when I was talking about The Watchers, I didn't give you a synopsis. I basically just narrated what I had read so far in the book and I don't think that's helpful. So I'm here to give you a more concise synopsis. We follow this, we'll say it's a cursed forest, but really this forest is home to the scariest creatures literally ever in the entire universe. We follow multiple perspectives of people who are now trapped in this forest. They cannot escape because of these creatures and they are living together in this bunker where every night, once the light turns on in the bunker, they have to lock themselves in for safety. And one of the walls of this bunker is like a two-way mirror. Basically, they have to stay in the bunker all night while these creatures watch them from the woods through this two-way mirror. They can't see what the creatures look like. They really don't know that much about them, but I don't even know how to describe this. These creatures terrorize them, like scratch against the glass, scratch against the door, and they scream. They have like these really terrifying like screams, and no one that's ever gone out of the bunker at night, like after dark, has ever survived, and they've never come back. So our little mishmash squad has to figure out what in the heck are they gonna do to survive. I am about to scarf down the remainder of my breakfast because we have our last call reading sprints in 8 minutes, so I need to eat this, drink a little bit of my coffee, but I'm probably going to start off these reading sprints with The Watchers because I want to get a good chunk of that read today because I just need to know what happens. I need to know more. So. Hello, I have some crazy updates because I am living for The Watchers. I cannot believe that I haven't heard anyone talk about this book. It has me in a chokehold. Like, I am in such suspense that I honestly need to finish this book today because I just need to know what happens. Like, I cannot live the rest of my day not knowing what happens in this book. So incredible. So on the sprints with Valisa, Sarah, and Cami, I just really focused on The Watchers. So I'm now a little bit over halfway. I am thoroughly impressed by the writing style, how invested we are in the characters, and we're only like 100 pages into the book. I took a little bit of a break. I got up, I was walking around and like stretched and got some food and things like that because we sprinted for a little over 3 hours and now I'm ready to dive back into this book. So I put on a spooky night. What is it? Rain ambiance forest on a spooky night. And there were just like bats and stuff flying at me. It's really cool. Cheers, friends. Happy Sunday. So I've definitely been embracing my mood reading tendencies lately, and I'm currently almost finished with like 3 different books. One of those books was Cackle, but this morning I was able to listen to a significant amount of it. I think I was 65% of the way through, and then I just finished it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I can't even describe how much I liked this book and how it was very unexpected. So let me dig into this a little bit more. I went into Cackle solely based off of Darling Desi's recommendation, and all she said about this book was that it was witchy vibes, and if you like Gilmore Girls, if you like Stars Hollow, that is the setting of this book. So I was like, perfect, I'm here for the vibes. I need a book like that that's much more like lighthearted, because I've been reading a lot of horrors in this vlog as well. So I wanted that one book to kind of escape to that was more lighthearted and not as dark, you know what I mean? Honestly, I could have placed it in one of my sad girl literature vlogs, because the journey of self-discovery that our main character Annie goes on throughout this book was so much fun to listen to. In terms of the setting and the autumnal vibes, absolutely did not disappoint. That is there 100%, but I thought that this was gonna give the X-Hex vibes or Payback's a Witch vibes. What this delivered was a sort of magical realism that was placed in a contemporary fiction. I would say, if anything, it gives the Bewitched vibes from the movie that Nicole Kidman was in a little bit, but it's not as romantic comedy. There's actually not a romance in this book. It is really just our main character, Annie. Annie, she just turned 30. She's a teacher in New York City. Her boyfriend of 10 years just told her that he's no longer in love with her. So she takes a new teaching job in the Stars Hollow-like town in upstate New York. And she meets Sophie, who is her new witch friend. She's kind of the only friend that she makes in this new town right off the start. Sophie teaches Annie to stop being a people pleaser, to figure out what sparks joy in her life, and to be unapologetic in chasing those things, to stand up for herself and not just be bullied by the kids in her class, not, again, like people please and go out of her way to make other people comfortable. Sophie really helps Annie to just be comfortable in her own skin and stop thinking about all of these other people and prioritizing them and their happiness over her own. And it was stunning, gorgeous, amazing, beautiful. I literally want to throw up. I loved this book so much. I ended up giving it 4 stars. There were multiple quotes that were just really, really funny throughout this book, and because I was listening to it on audio, I wasn't remembering to write them all down in my bullet journal, but there was one that was just so funny. Also, Annie is very snarky. Like, she has a humor that I just absolutely loved. So, and you're in her head the entire book, so you're kind of hearing her thoughts. But there was one point where she said, "Is it too much to ask to never make eye contact with another human ever again?" And I was like, Queen, I get you. And also, this book, throughout this book, she talks about, like, it's not pretty, you know? Like, she talks about nervous farts, and she talks about she talks about kind of drinking excessively. Like, she's at a very low point in her life, stuff like that. But it was just really, really, it was just really funny. So I loved that book, but I felt the need to kind of clarify because, again, I went in knowing very little, and I was just there for the vibes. And now my goal for the rest of the day is to finish 2 other books, potentially 3 other books. The first one that I definitely want to finish today is The Watchers by A.M. Shine, which I know I talked a lot about yesterday. Last night I ended up reading up to 75% in that book. I need to know the ending. I've kind of gotten through a lot of the action points, and now we're on the other side of it, and there's still, you know, 25% left in the book, so I'm like, what is even going to happen? I don't understand. The other book that I need to finish today is Muse of Nightmares, which I know I haven't really spoken about in this vlog, but I'm currently buddy reading that with Valisa, and we've had like 75-page sections that we've been reading every day, but yesterday I was so enthralled in The Watchers that I didn't read our section, so I have to just finish the last 2 sections of that book. I've really been enjoying that audiobook as well. It's narrated by Steve West, and I talked about Steve West and his stunning, sexy voice when I was listening to Strange the Dreamer, and then I realized that Steve West narrated the entire The Ember and the Ashes series. I think that he voices Elias, but I'm not positive. And now all I want to do is go back and reread those books so that I can listen to Steve West narrate Elias. I would literally be dead. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. The final book that is kind of like a question mark of whether or not I will finish it today, but I would like to, it's kind of like the hopeful on my list for today, is Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. I know I gave y'all some updates in the beginning of this vlog about Just Like Home, but I've been switching back and forth, and then when I absolutely fell in love with The Watchers, I needed to just prioritize that all yesterday during those reading sprints and stuff like that. So if I have time today, Just Like Home is on the list. So I will update you throughout the rest of this day, but my first priority is to catch up on Muse of Nightmares so that Felisa doesn't yell at me. Hello my friends, it is now about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. I wanted to give a little bit of a reading update because I haven't yet finished Muse of Nightmares, but I'm very close. I'm now about 80% of the way through. I only have this much left, which is about 70 pages, a little bit less than 70 pages. The woman was too stunned to speak. Like, I'm not going to say too much about this book because it's the second book in a duology and I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I'm so grateful that I picked up this book even though Strange the Dreamer wasn't my absolute favorite, because Muse of Nightmares is so much better than Strange the Dreamer. I don't want to say that it's worth reading the first one to get to the second one because I feel like that's very dependent person to person, because the first one, I'll never get over this. Literally nothing happens, and then until the very, very end. But then in this book, everything happens, and it's so interesting. I am so incredibly captivated. I have not wanted to put this book down. Like, me and Valisa sectioned this book out into sections of about 75 pages each because it is lengthy. It's a little over 500 pages, and we spread it out over a week of reading. But it's almost like 75 pages every day has not been enough. I feel like this book is very bingeable because you just want to know more. Like, there's so much more. I wouldn't call it world building, but you get a lot more character depth and character backstories in this book that are so interesting, and I wish that we had gotten these backstories in the first one. Like, I don't understand how in this duology it just seems very unbalanced to me, the two books, and in terms of what happens with the plots in each of the books. It's so heavily plot focused in the second book. It's insane. But anyways, I am so excited to finally finish this today. I need to read this last section as soon as humanly possible because the suspense that I'm in right now, I can't deal. Bestie Queens, it is Monday, but I wanted to close out this vlog and I waited until today because I just now finished The Watchers by A.M. Shine. The way that no one is talking about this book, and I don't understand, this was one of the best horror books that I have read. The scariness, the suspense, the creatures, the ending, like, such a good ending. That book was teetering between like a 4 and a 5-star for me, but with horrors, it really, really depends on the ending that's delivered with how it's going to remain in my mind in terms of like scariness, suspense to the end, all of those things. This book checked every single box. I gave it 5 stars, literally loved it so much. The Watchers is up there on my list of scariest books that I've ever read. It's right up there with The Sleep Experiment by Jeremy Bates, which, as you guys know, actually, I'm not sure that I've talked about that book a lot on my channel, but The Sleep Experiment by Jeremy Bates is my absolute top tier scariest book that I've ever read. Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell is same level. Like, that and The Sleep Experiment are the two scariest books that I've ever read. This is one notch below those two. And with that, I'm going to end this vlog here. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. I post every Sunday and Thursday, monthly reading sprints. We have the Confused Queens book club, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, friends.